Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Nick Ruiz and Dawson Henry from indie rock band The Props to the podcast. The Props will release their new EP, Arrow, this Friday on Blue Grape Music. The guys talk about their musical backgrounds and getting started in music, how they came together as a band, the art of songwriting, and more. Arrow is a phenomenal EP. I know I've been trying to focus the podcast on heavier music these days and stick within the metal and hardcore subgenres, but this EP blew me away, and I just knew I wanted to share the band with the listeners. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of As the Story Grows. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome. You can find links in our show notes to our Discord server, our Patreon page, and our mailing list. If you like what you hear, I would love it if you subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast platform. Enjoy today's conversation with Nick and Dawson from The Props. I got the press release for the band, LA indie rock band. And initially my thought was like, okay, I probably am not going to talk to this band because I've tried to be more focused musically, right? Not just be like, I like it, put it on the podcast. Try to be more genre focused. But I try to listen to everything that comes to me. And by the time the chorus of Stomach, I was like, fuck it, I have to talk to this band. That's like one of the best fucking hooks I've heard all year. Like, I can't say no. So,
thank you. Yeah, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, so that's
dude. Thanks. Yeah, no, we're so happy. We're so proud. Like, we're so excited. This is just yeah. You know, the snowball, the momentum starting. We're just like, thank you. Yeah. When hard work pays off, even though you know it's beginning to pay off. It's beginning to pay off.
Right. Well, it's like. There's so many bands where it's like this band pops out of nowhere, and it's like actually the members have probably been in a bunch of bands trying to get like that right combination where things work, and also bands take a lot longer to kind of come together and like pop off way before anybody notices. It's like they came out of nowhere, and it's like, well, they have like 10 releases on Bandcamp. Like you're just not paying attention.
Yeah, you just don't know yet. You just haven't heard them yet.
Yeah. What's up, Vic?
Hey, how's it going?
Yo.
Good. Are you guys both originally from the West Coast?
Nick is. I'm from Canada originally.
Okay.
Well, I guess the West Coast still. Vancouver.
Yeah, that counts.
I'm from Monterey Bay.
Okay. Nice. What was growing up like for each of you?
It's cool. I grew up on Maui actually. I moved to LA when I was 16. Yeah.
Okay.
It was cool.
That's pretty dope.
It was like small town, but worse. Small town, but worse.
Yeah.
Because you're trapped. Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny.
Pretty humble beginnings, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess it's easy to say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sideways camera. There we go.
That looks nice.
Yeah.
What got each of you into music? What are your influences early on?
My folks were super eclectic. A lot of world music, a lot of different types of stuff. Mom liked the rock and roll. Dad liked new wave and rockabilly and all sorts of different stuff. You know, like a lot of Sting, a lot of like Dad liked a lot of like the post-punk stuff, you know, a lot of the goth rock type stuff, a lot of the new romantic new wave music. So like that was like his era, so I got all those records, and Mom liked Led Zeppelin, you know, and R&B, old school R&B, 60s R&B. Had a lot of 50s music, Elvis, and a lot of again, a lot of just music in different languages, stuff like that. So it's
Nice.
a little bit of everything.
Nice, really solid core musical background in your life.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I listened to, like, when I was a kid, I just listened to like Slipknot and Korn and all that. And then when I got older and I wanted to write songs, I was like, And then I heard about the Beatles and I was like, ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Beach Boys and stuff. And that's when I actually started writing. Because I was like writing metal riffs when I was like 13. And I was like, this isn't Korn enough. I'm not Korn enough or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That level of anger wasn't inside you.
Not yet.
Not yet. What was it? Your family that came to LA, I assume? Was that in pursuit of something or just work?
Yeah. We were kind of all over it, and then I wanted to go to music college, so I went to MI. Okay. Yeah, nice. It was good. I dropped out, but it was good.
Yeah. When you start, Dawson, when you start writing songs, like, are you just writing on guitar? Or do you have a background playing like guitar, trying to do something solo, or are you trying to like form bands at that point?
Yeah, I was in multiple bands at that point, like when I was a kiddo. Yeah. I started playing blues, actually. Nice. That was like my first serious band. I was in a blues band on Maui for like 3 years.
Nice.
That was fun.
Nice. Nick, what led you to guitar?
I mean, I'm not much of a guitar player, but I learned how to, when I was learning how to sing and stuff, it just kind of felt like the way, Yeah, I learned a little bit just so I had something to sing to, really. Yeah. I mean, I play the same thing. I played in just a bunch of random bands growing up, and mainly just to get away from like school, get away from I wasn't like the most popular kid in the world, so you found my friends like in the local Orange County like pop punk scene and post-hardcore scene when I was like a younger guy, and so I mean, not much of a guitar player, but enough to learn how to sing a bit, Yeah.
You can write songs. That's the most important.
I can write some songs.
It's funny. I took guitar lessons for a very brief period of time, and like just enough to learn chords and be dangerous. And then it's like you figure out you could play a Green Day song, and you're like, "Fuck it, I can do this." And I should have taken lessons to be better, but I did not. And it's really only been in the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years where I'm like learned more of like theory and how to play. And I'm like, okay, now that I'm in my 40s, I actually know how to play guitar and craft songs. So you can get there.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
I think being in California, you kind of think like being in that music scene, whether it's LA or Monterey Bay or anywhere, like it's easy to like find people to be in bands with and play with. But like, was that your experience? Is it that easy, or was it like a struggle to like get people together?
I think now it's way easier.
Yeah.
Like now it's so easy. When I first came to LA, it was kind of tricky. It was more of like stealing people from other bands.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now everyone's like, let's start a band. Yeah. That's cool. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I was young when I moved to Orange County when I was like kid and whatever. So like, I kind of just like, I started shooting bands on camera.
Nice.
That's like at like school and whatever is like, just I wanted to be a filmmaker, I guess, or something when I was like 14 or whatever. And so I started shooting bands. I started going to like clubs in Orange County and whatever, like all ages clubs, and just shooting bands and like putting them on YouTube and whatever. And somehow through that's when I started like meeting people in that scene and whatever. So once you get into it, it wasn't so difficult because, there's a lot of bored kids in Orange County, there's not that much to do really. So, so I mean, but like obviously like it's hard to get a good band together. You know, you have a lot of you have a lot of like, you know, like it's hard to find the right grouping of people. You know, I've been in a couple of bands at this point, but like, you know, it's hard to find people that have character to what they play. A lot of people play the same-ish, you know, like, and mainly because I think that's just, you know, like you just starting out, I think that's how everybody is. You're just kind of ripping off you're doing the watered down version of whatever your favorite thing is, and then you move on to another thing, and then another thing, and then eventually you find your thing through all of those other things. And so that's it. Yeah, I've been in a lot of bands, but I can't say I've necessarily been in a lot of good ones. I've been in a couple good ones, but I've been in a lot of not so good ones too.
In that vein, let's got to jump ahead to the props. How'd this band get started?
Well, I mean, I sang in another band, and that didn't work out anymore, and was looking to do something else. And I had a manager at the time who knew Jersey and Sam from their previous project, and I knew of them from their previous project. And I kind of like, I don't know, I was thinking about, because you just kind of have to go and try things, and that was the first meeting with other musicians that I had, you know, and you know, Dawson knows they're a decent hang sometimes. And
sometimes
we met at Five Guys Burgers and Fries, and then they introduced me to him a little later, like after we like jammed like twice or something, and we didn't, you know, you can always tell, you know, like if you're in the room with somebody, you know, you can tell them like, hey, okay, we don't hate each other, that's good, you know. we laugh at each other's jokes and stuff. That's a good first step. And yeah, and then we had you know, kind of a little bit of a revolving door of members for a minute, but like now it's like, you know, just trying to find the right fit and everything. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. I mean, it's not that exciting. It's not some like we were out in the street and the moonlight came down. No, like, you know, it was pretty much just like, hey, called Jersey on the phone. He and I talked for like a good 45 minutes about music, and like, he's like, oh, well, what do you like? Oh, what do you like? And what do you want? Like, what you want to like put something together? Do you want to like do that? Yeah, maybe. It was, you know, it's funny because Jersey, you know, like at the time was like what? It's like 18. So like, yeah, you know, like Jersey's young and like younger than me, but he's also like just an insane bass player and musician, and he was talking shop like from like the minute we talked, which I thought is, and that's exactly how he is all the time, you know, and something I admire. But yeah, they introduced me to this guy like not too long after that, and then it was kind of just sort of figuring out what kind of band we were going to be. And I think now we know that pretty good, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, what were those initial conversations around kind of the sonic direction of the band, and how has that evolved to where this EP is?
When we first talked about it, it's not too far off. It was like, we're talking about like hard driving, like alternative stuff. Like, we definitely didn't want to do like classic rock or anything like that. That was something both of us, I think, had enough of. Like, he was a School of Rock kid with Sam, and I was in that kind of band before, and I didn't want to do that again. I didn't want to do anything like that again, ever again. And just because like of just the flavor of whatever you wanted. But that was pretty much the extent of it. Mainly we just talked about bands we liked. Okay. And he likes a lot of different stuff, you know. Same with everybody in the band. I mean, like, Sam's like super like 70s coded these days. Like, he's always like listening to what was that one time he posted about Fleetwood or whatever, Don? You're like, oh no, he's listening to my tunes or whatever.
I don't remember. Yeah, that sounds right.
But like he loves, I think like there's certain bands that we all really love that don't really necessarily translate into sound. Like we all love the Beatles, and and Dee and I really love the Beach Boys. And like, what does that have to do with the stuff that we make? Not a whole lot, like, but I think that like you have to find like the common footing of like things you enjoy, things you can geek out about, and then everything else is kind of just falls together.
Yeah. It reminds me not of any like certain specific band, but more of a vibe. Like when I was, 2021 in, I don't know, the early 2000s of like that era of indie rock. That's like not the Strokes and the shit that like got big and was on MTV, but like the stuff that probably inspired all those bands that like nobody ever heard of. Like, but it's not like a band. It's just like a scene, right? Like, which is cool. What was the inspiration behind the band name?
It just wasn't taken.
It sounded cool.
It sounded cool enough, yeah. Sounded like a band, and there was no like again, it's hard to find a band name that's like half decent that doesn't already have 8 other people doing it. So I think that was
it was classic. Like, okay, I don't like that. Let's find a new one. And then classic band, we couldn't find a better one. And then we were like, it's not taken. We might as well just use it.
From here on
people
out,
remembered it.
Yeah. I mean, in any other press you do, you just need to make up some bullshit lore about like somebody worked in a movie studio with the prop department and like
I was thinking to myself, we need some better answers. We need some better answers to how this started.
Just steal that. Like somebody was stealing props from the props department in a studio as like an intern.
We were doing a Ouija board.
Yeah, a Ouija board. And the demon.
But there's always been props. There's always been props like leading up to it and in it. It's been funny.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, we used to have a dummy on stage at one point.
And I think it was even before we were called the props. We were already like toying around with the dummy guy. Like, we were like, what if the dummy guys are a mascot? And we were like, that's stupid. But it all worked out.
Here you are.
Yeah.
There are no bad ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was just trying things, and like really, I mean, names don't really matter that much if the music is good, and that's kind of where it all falls,
Yeah, it's just the vessel for distribution. Yeah. What led you guys to Blue Grape Music? It's such an interesting label and collection of artists on that label.
I mean, I was already kind of working with the guys who signed us, and hadn't really done anything on the imprint or anything yet. And I said like I wanted to do something new, something different, and they gave it a chance. And I mean honestly, like they kind of wrote it out from like usually that stuff comes later, but that was something that was already there in the beginning. Again, just shows how supportive and how artist first, in a lot of ways, Blue Grape is, because they kind of started with us from the beginning, when we didn't really know what exactly we were gonna do yet, and what way, and so it's really just kind of worked out that way. I mean, honestly, like all the way up to this point. Sorry, what?
No, you were with them. You were with Dave, and then Sam and Jersey were with Dave, the bass player and drummer.
Yeah, because Dave was at Roadrunner Records, and their last band and my last band were at Roadrunner Records, and that's how we ended up there.
Nice.
And just believe from the beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He knew it wasn't going to work at the beginning, but he knew it might work one day. Yeah.
One day. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
What, as a songwriter, are you trying to accomplish from, I think, a melody standpoint, and maybe less with lyrics, but like from the concept of trying to convey emotion or feelings from a melody when you're writing?
I mean, that one's like super old. Like I had this song I wrote when I was a kid. When I was like 13, I wrote a song called Hey You, and that essentially is Llama. Oh. And, it's just kind of one of those things. Like I tried it out in a bunch of different bands, and none of the other bands ever wanted it. So it's just a song I had in my back pocket or whatever. And I don't know, it just felt like the time to try to use it for something, and worked with these guys called The Heavy. Shout out to Jason and Jordan, and they helped me and the guys complete it. And then after that, it just kind of kept evolving, and once we worked with Carlos, it finally became the song that it is now. And obviously, everybody else got their hands on it in some way. I mean, there's a lot of little things, that like Dee and Sam and Jers, brought to it that made it better, Yeah. And of course, obviously Carlos's production, is like kind of like what really makes it work in a way that I don't think it ever really did before. And so like it's just kind of pure in some weird way, because it was written long before, I think I ever personally thought about like song structure or anything. Yeah. It was just some song about something that I don't even remember anymore. And that was kind of like why the chorus became sort of like vague and like, well, I mean that like it's sort of like trying to remember something. So that kind of became like the theme of the song, is like remembering a time and a place, but not necessarily a face, I guess. So I think that's just a really strange journey for a song,
Yeah, it's a long time to hold on to something to make it work. I mean, and it's an incredible like 5 songs. Each song is memorable with a killer hook, like top to bottom. It's an incredible EP that's just like extremely well crafted.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
EP's out April 10th. What's the plan for the band kind of heading into late spring and the summer and the rest of this year?
Got to hit the road.
Yeah.
Just hit the road. We want to play as much as possible.
Yeah.
Let us know. Hit us up if you want us to play at your party or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Is that kind of...
Yeah, for sure.
To find the right tour and
back, bar mitzvahs.
We'll play them all.